Hey there, YouTubers. I'm going to do another ramble. A while back, I did a video on, yay, Class Bs are great, they're awesome. And a while before that, I did a, hey, everything that you see on social media about how great the van life is, I kind of did a reality check on that. So now this video, I'm going to ramble about the things about Class Bs that aren't so great. And with that, I want to put a little note in. I had some comments on the reality check video, and people were like, well, you're being negative. Well, this video too is going to kind of be like that you're talking about the negative aspects, trying to give people a real view into what it's like. So I'm going to start with saying I would never trade my Class B. I think Class Bs are the best way to go. But that doesn't mean they're perfect. So there's downsides if you're looking at getting one that you would have to consider before you make that jump. And also, I'm going to talk more about a Class B because that's what I have. But a lot of it, not all of it, but a lot of it will apply to van life. You know, people that do conversions that have many of the things that a Class B has, but sometimes not all of them. So here we go. We'll get into it now. I'm going to do these just in no particular order. So it's not like a weighted scale on the downsides of it, just whatever came into mind. So I'm going to start with showering. Again, if you have a van, a lot of times you don't have a shower. And a Class B, you usually have one of two options with a shower. I have an aisle shower, which basically means in the middle of my floor there's a drain and there's a shower curtain that goes around it. It works fine. The other kind is a wet bath. And with those, usually you don't have a lot of headroom, so when you take a shower in those, a lot of times you have to sit on the toilet in there to take a shower. Whatever your preference, it doesn't really matter. Whatever you think is best. I wouldn't make a choice based on which type of shower an RV has. If I like whatever aspect of it, that's the one I would get. But that said, neither one of them are like a big travel trailer, fifth wheel, or like a Class A, where you just have a close to regular shower that you walk in, take a shower, and you're done. With a Class B, usually there's a lot more setup and it's a bit more of a pain. So being 100% honest, I don't love using the Class B shower. I use campgrounds or whatever other options I can find, gyms and stuff like that, more than I'll use my shower in the RV. I had one trip where I used the shower every day for like a month. And, you know, you have to do water conservation and all that kind of stuff. But overall, I try to use real showers when I can. I know there's a lot of people out there doing van life, van or Class B, whatever, that talk about how you got to be prepared to be smelly. I love to get stinky, but I don't like to be stinky. So I'm sure there's times when I just do like a baby wipe kind of deal, but I need to be clean. So again, as I said, I like to get stinky, but I can't stay stinky. So a shower and being clean is important to me. So when you're thinking about a Class B, that's a thing you have to keep in mind, is the whole showering thing. So and it can be a downside. The second thing is something I don't do a lot of, but stealth camping and stuff like that in a city and Walmarts. I don't like it in a Class B. Maybe it's different in a bigger RV, but I have pets, so I can't sleep when it's loud. So I know there's a lot of people that love to do that, and I'm also not a big fan of, all right, I drove somewhere, it's getting late, and now I got to try to find somewhere where I can sneak sleep for a while. Just not my deal. That's a personal thing. I'm not a huge fan of parking on some city street or trying to go into a neighborhood and sleep for a while. A lot of people think, well, you can do it easy in a Class B because people don't know it's an RV. People know it's an RV. And I also have no desire to be in an area where I have to worry about somebody stealing something or getting that knock on the door from the cops and stuff like that. I think I've done some Walmarts maybe 2 or 3 nights total in all these years. And I've done a few gas stations like a Flying J because I can park out front and not back with the semis. But again, with the pets, if there's commotion outside, they're amped up and they're running around and I just can't sleep. So for me in a Class B, not a big fan of doing the stealth camping in town. Just not my deal. And obviously that brings me on to the pets. I have 2 cats. If you've watched before, I show the cats when I show the cats. But never planned on them, but I've gotten to where I enjoy traveling with them. But in a 19.5-foot RV, 90% of the times I'm fine with it. But if you travel with pets, it changes how you travel even in a van. And there are times that they get on my friggin' nerves. You know, you can't move freely around when you have pets in here. So I wouldn't not travel with them, but I wouldn't go buy a Class B and then the next day go get a pet, you know. Another thing that might be kind of a weird downside, when you travel in a Class B, you find that so many of your conversations become about traveling in a Class B. I think I give as many looks and tours of my Class B as somebody that has $1 million Class A, you know. And that's cool, but, you know, it's my room with a view. It doesn't define me. But you'll find that when you travel this way, you become so immersed in Class B life or van life or something that it seems to take over so many aspects of your life. I don't know if that's a downside. It's cool to have a conversation starter, but sometimes it's not cool when somebody you don't know sees you go in your RV or your van and knocks on your door because they want to look at it. You know, it's kind of weird to have somebody knock on your door and open it up. So I don't even know if that makes sense, but that can be a downside at times, but not a terrible one because I like to talk to people just on my terms usually. And one of the worst things is I've shown my Class B. It's a 1999 Leisure Travel. I love this thing. I don't think there's another Class B I would rather have. No insults to anybody that has something different. Mine has amazing storage for a Class B. I think Leisure Travel, I think they design them by people that use them, and their storage is just fantastic. But there is a downside to that. There's something that a lot of us call the shuffle. I can store, I got 5 feet of storage above my head. I got storage under the bed. I got a great big basement, like, down underneath. But the downside is something called the shuffle. I can get a lot of stuff in here, but I can't hardly get to anything without moving something else. So you're always moving stuff around, and even a small space like this can become a mess. And throw in 2 cats, it can become a mess like that in just a heartbeat. So I've done a lot of videos in the past of all my efforts to organize. I'm not an organized person. If you're not an organized person, you can either learn to live in the mess, because this thing can become a mess in hours, or you have to find ways to not go crazy and learn to organize a space. So the shuffle is kind of a hassle at times. I don't know how many times I think it would be nice if I could just open a cabinet and reach exactly for what I want without having to move 50 things. So you can get great storage in some of these, but you're always going to have to be moving stuff. One of the downsides is I understand how things work, but I'm not a mechanic. So at times when you get an older vehicle like this, I don't have any problems with the Leisure Travel part, but you start to get to where you worry about breakdowns a bit and stuff like that. So I fix that by doing as much preventative maintenance as I can, because sometimes in an older Class B, you have to worry about that, because it's not only your means of transportation, it's also your house. So if you have breakdowns like in a situation, it's a pain, I would assume. I've been very, very fortunate. I've had problems with it and I've need to repair things, transmission, but they all happen near home. I had a water pump problem way up in the northwest angle of Minnesota, but I was able to get it fixed there. Only had to stay a couple extra days. As things get older, you get that fear of being on the side of the road with the OF kind of thing. I try not to use that word on camera. That kind of ties into another one, which is roads. I'm not going to go on about it because I do my best not to go on about it in my videos. But this is not huge, but it's heavy. So roads in the United States of America are terrible, and we're moving on to the next topic. A downside is it is small. It is very small. Now, I'm fortunate again. I have a short queen bed in here, and I have everything that everything else has, but I can take 5 grown-up steps in here. And then again, as I said before, there's 2 cats to negotiate my 5 grown-up steps around. So if you're thinking of getting one of these, lock yourself in the bathroom for a day and tell yourself you're stuck in here because it's raining outside and you've decided you don't want to put on your raincoat and trudge around. I do that stuff. So I don't get stuck in here a lot, but there's a lot of people that do. The small space seems great for a lot of people, but I've met people that thought it was going to be great, got a Class B, and they couldn't handle the small space. So you need to know that going in. It can be a downside. Another downside that is, it kind of reflects what I learned, because at the beginning I thought, man, I can take this thing anywhere. My ground clearance is not that great. I think the lowest point is like 4 inches of ground clearance. Now they have it protected with metal, you know, the different things on the undercarriage, but don't go thinking a standard Class B, unless you get like a Sportsmobile or something like that, that you can go back anywhere you want to go. For me, I found that's just not true. I've bottomed out a few times, and the last thing you want to be is, 20 miles down some dirt road in the middle of nowhere and break something because you bottomed out. So you will get the idea that you can take these anywhere, but that's not true. But once you get someplace, you don't have to worry about, am I going to fit? You're not going to get kicked out in any national parks or state parks because you have a small vehicle, so you can get in anywhere. But getting there is not always as easy as a lot of people make it seem. Another weird thing that's a downside is laundry. Obviously, you're not going to put a washer and dryer in here. I don't think I'd want one in a normal RV anyways. When you're out traveling on the road, laundry in most places is pretty expensive to go to a laundromat and do. Every now and then you find a good deal on cheap laundry at some campgrounds. I went to Canada and I couldn't get over how cheap the parks in Ontario were for laundry. It was like, wow. But because of that, I take a lot of clothes with me. I take extra sheets because you do your best to be clean in here, but I can't sleep in a dirty bed either. I can't go much past a week with the same sheets. And I see other people out there that are like minimalists and they have 4 or 5 t-shirts. Yeah, again, that goes back to the whole showering thing. I can't be dirty. I can't be the type that say, well, I don't know if I want to go in that place because I know I stink because it's been 3 days since I showered. I have to be clean, and I like to have clean clothes. So I end up taking a lot of clothes, and then when you end up finding a cheap laundry, you can waste a lot of a day doing laundry somewhere. So that's a downside. I'm not sure if it's symbolic of Class Bs, but the dirt ball thing or the dirt bag thing of, people always being dirty in Class Bs, I don't want to live up to that stereotype because, again, I like to get dirty, but I like to get clean. I think this might be the last one. A thought just came in my head. When you have a Class B, it is so awesome that everything is together. I can get, if I go to a campground, I can get set up in like 5 minutes. And I've been places and watched people in huge RVs of whatever type. They can take an hour getting set up. I'm set up like this. But the downside is this is also my vehicle if I want to go anywhere that's far. I, of course, carry a bike with me, but, you know, sometimes if you want to go somewhere that's like 10 miles away and there's all kinds of hills, that isn't always as fun as it seems. So the downside can be that your mode of transportation to go somewhere is also your house. And then throw in that I have animals with me. If it's hot, then I have the concern about driving somewhere to go do something for a while and leaving them in a vehicle that could get too hot and dangerous for them. So a downside, it's like an awesome feature and a bad feature at the same time, because I love that everything's compact. If you get to a place where you feel weird or getting a bad vibe that it might be a dangerous area, you just get in and leave. You don't even have to go outside. But if you're in a place where you go, oh, I want to go 10 miles away and check this out, then you got to take your whole house with you. You know, I also have a little gas-powered motorized scooter that I thought that'll solve it. You also find out there's a lot of places you're not legally allowed to ride those. So for me, it's usually the bike. And again, traveling with the animals, I like to get to a place and set up and then just go exploring. But having to take your house to go grocery shopping, you know, things like that can be a bit of a hassle. But overall, I said it at the beginning and I got to clarify it at the end. There are times I wonder about what it would be like to have a different type, but I don't see myself ever changing. I just think Class Bs are the perfect balance for one or two people, and this two people have to really get along. But there are downsides. Everything in life has downsides. So I hope this was helpful. I don't know if I really said anything that isn't basically common sense. But again, I have to reflect back on when I started this. And I've always considered myself to have a decent amount of common sense. But over time, you learn things. And you learn that things aren't always what you thought they were going to be going in. So again, I hope this was helpful. I hope everybody out there stays safe. Follow the recommendations of smart, learned people. Don't get sick. And have a great and wonderful day.